how your core values can change over time. Hey there, it's Eric J. Olson. It took me a couple of years of being in business before I realized that I needed to write down what I considered to be the core values of the company. Now, this happened after I terminated an employee, and it was really because he just didn't really fit in with the kind of work that, or wasn't producing, I should say, the kind of work that I wanted to produce as a company. And so, like internally, I knew that there was some sort of a mismatch. And I mean, the mismatch itself was pretty clear to me, but I had yet to actually write down the expectations when it comes to core values. And so I terminated the employee. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, what happened? That could have been way smoother. And, he was surprised, and it was, kind of a not very great termination on my part. I did not do a good job. I kind of fumbled it. But I realized that if the employee that's being terminated is surprised, then I made a lot of mistakes. One, I should have given him plenty of warning. And two, I should have, going back even further, I should have laid out the core values definitely that I expected. So, I write about this in Million Dollar Journey, and I was, flipped to the core values page. This is under developing your people, the chapter called developing your people. So page 169 is about core values. And, the core values that we have had here at Array Digital, and also my previous company where I first finally wrote those core values down, they've changed over time. And so what I wanted to do is kind of step you through how they've changed a little bit. So the very first version of the core values, I dug it up when I was writing this book. And here were the core values. I'm going to read them to you. Honesty, learning, technical excellence, collaboration, transparency, timeliness, and informal professionalism. Oh, actually, there's one more. Early adoption. So there's a lot. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 core values. And at the time, it made a lot of sense. It was, again, the very first version. It was the first attempt of me kind of reducing all my thoughts and all my belief systems when it comes to working into a set of core values that I wanted to promulgate to all of the employees of the company, and even beyond, really, to clients as well, but mostly to the staff, to make sure that we were all on the same page. Now, as a first version, I had, number one, I wanted to communicate those core values, but number two, I wanted to start to move things in the direction of improvement. So like one of these in particular, timeliness. Timeliness, I created at the time we were chronically late delivering on our projects. And so timeliness was, and there was, copy that went along with this verbiage that described it, but timeliness basically said, you need to be on time. So the expectation was provide something on time. Don't be late. When we finally started to achieve this on a regular basis, I realized that doing something on time, frankly, is not enough. And that has morphed into urgency. As a matter of fact, I have our current core values here, and there's not a single original one. Oh, actually, I take it back. Transparency. Transparency is still there. That's the only one that is still there from the original 8. So out of the original 8, we now have 5. But going back to timeliness, yeah, it's now urgency, because the expectation is it's not good enough if you just barely get it done on time. No, like you should be doing it as soon as possible. Don't wait around. Like we have a big, hairy, audacious goal here, and we want to grow this to $100 million. That is not going to happen if you just kind of lackadaisically turn stuff in when it's due. Now, like if you have a week to do something and you can get it done in a day, do it in a freaking day. Let's get more done in the same amount of time. Like there's a lot that has to be done in the next 9 or so years to build up to $100 million. And the goal is by 2030. So the 5 that we have now are transparency, quality. It used to be like high quality, but what other kind of quality would you want? So, and again, and for the folks watching on video, hopefully you can see this. for each one, I know it's not going to come through real good, but for each one, there's a whole description, paragraph about each of these core values. So we have transparency, quality, urgency, winning, and passion. And as far as like the actual description, let me just read one of these for you. So let's go with urgency, because I talked about timeliness and urgency before. Urgency. Being on time is not enough. We must have a sense of urgency and complete our work as quickly as possible. We are growing fast and there's no opportunity for downtime. The faster we are, the more we will accomplish in the same amount of time. So those are our core values now: transparency, quality, urgency, winning, passion. Those were not always our core values. I think it's a good idea to change the core values. When you realize that something needs to change, you need to make a change. You can't just say, well, those are the core values that I came up with before, and that's that. They're in stone. No. You change as an organization, right? Where timeliness used to be the goal, now it's urgency, as an example. And also, I would say try to reduce. I started off with 8, now we have 5. Frankly, I'd like to get down to like 4, maybe one day 3. So we're not done modifying these core values, although these are the ones that have been in place for probably about a year now. So core values, if you don't have them, you definitely need them. You need to establish the expectations on how you operate overall. And then feel free to change them over time. You'll know when the time is right. Once you conclude that something needs to change, you need to change it. Hey there, it's Erik J. Olson. I wanted to let you know about my book, $1 Million Journey: How to Launch a 7-Figure Business. This is the story of what it took for me to go from freelancer with no clients, no employees, no revenue, to growing a $1 million business. It took me 8 years, and I made a lot of mistakes. And all of those mistakes, and more importantly, lessons learned, are in this book. And we have chapter takeaways, 5 to 15 takeaways that you can apply right now to your business. Check it out on Amazon, $1 Million Journey by me, Erik J. Olson.